Okay,
Cool.
hold on, good for that. You got it? All right, say it louder so everyone can hear you.
So when I start first, it asks
So
you
what
for
are you
a
doing
file
right now?
name.
What is this? We're looking at the
Now
eye
it's-
scanning
yeah.
station.
It's calibrating your eye pupil gauge, and then after that, when you start, you'll do a full calibration based on your.
So right now,
Line of
this
perspective.
device right here is reading his pupil as it moves across the screen, so it can put in the relative information of where his hand is and his click in his interface and where his eye is and how much time he dwells in each area and where he looks, right? When he looks at a website.
Yeah, so I'll start recording. So that was more like a recording in motion. So line of perspective in motion. Now when I'm browsing it, since it's already calibrated the motion, so it will, already recording the line of perspective. And whatever that I'm browsing, it's all getting recorded. Looking at. And when I stop it, it saves a file which you can replay and gives you different forms of replay. You can just see the, just the line of perspective or the heat map or different map. So I just go to design and record right now. Replay.
And so now this shows where somebody really looked for how long, that it gets bigger when they continue to look. And if you go out there and you give this analysis to multiple people and what they do, it doesn't matter what they say, the eye and the hand goes where the eye and the hand goes, right? So one of the tools in this is to, many times clients are like, no, this is the hierarchy of information. This is what I want. Put that right up in the front. Give me my bullet points up here. Give me that. And this gives us an opportunity to test those designs and see beyond a shadow of a doubt that's not what people are clicking on. What you want first really should be last on your navigation. What you want last maybe should be first. Things of that nature. Does that make sense? Right.
Just
So
use
who do
a
you have test those?
gauge point.
Huh? Well, it depends. You can go out in the field and test it on a laptop. Like let's say we're working for your university and we're doing something. We could go show up on campus. Just go, hey guys, will you do this? Check out this website for us. Here's $5. Here's $5. Here's $5. We can walk out of someplace 2 hours later with 100 scans. Of these are your customers last Tuesday checking out this new design. This is what we found 100 of your students did, right? That kind of thing. Does that make sense? And then in the shop, really, where it is, it's really as a development tool. Again, somebody comes up with what they think. That's a focus group of one as a UX guy. Here we have 12, 15 people. You walk into that thing and we start working through it through 10 or 12 and you see, well, wait a minute here, we're not that different than everybody else, How come everybody's looking here first? How come everyone, when they get to here, is going like this with the mouse and can't find anything? What's the problem with the nav? Right? So let's go. All right, we good? And Jorge's over here. Jorge, what are you working on? And Andy, what are you guys working on? So this is another one, and again, this particular client has 6 different schools that we're working on. This is one of the medical schools. And it's a new website that we're creating for that. And one of the symptoms, one of the things is no matter where you go, the entire website is video. Meaning even if you come down here and anything that you do, there's a little gift of a couple of seconds that goes back and forth real small and, let you know that you can click on it and find the video. But we're really trying to create a website that tells the entire story. So 21-year-olds don't need to read a word. All they have to do is watch video. We'll see how that works here, huh? Just kidding. You feeling it? Right? And Dandy Andy over here. And what do you do? What's your job? What are you doing? You're developing?
I'm a developer.
Yep. He's a front-end and mid-level developer, right? And then what are you doing over here?
I am doing a web page for ATSU, building out the faculty staff pages.
Of that particular piece that he's working on
Yeah.
the mid-size, so he's working on the art side of it, creating the art elements for a page that'll go over to the developer.
Yeah, so I'll
Right.
lay it all out and then the code will go over to him and he'll actually make it function, so.
Yeah, are you guys feeling this? Okay, we're missing a couple guys that already built out, but we'll keep moving through here. This right here, actually, Prasan, I'll have him take me in there. We're in the middle of construction, and we're leaving tomorrow morning for a location shoot. We're going to, tomorrow morning, the team is leaving. A 6-man team is going to Visalia, California, on location to shoot. That website that we were just talking about, with all video. I got one more day of shooting. I gotta do it, go out to Visalia. We're gonna pick up some final pieces that we need, incorporate the final videos, and deliver that website, right? So, we're loading into the van. They're starting to pack up all this stuff. This usually is a big green screen room area. We write our own music here. We record our own music. We edit our own stuff. We capture our own stuff. We do our own strategy, our own copy, our own content, our own front end, our own back end development. We do our own photography. We do our own image capture. We do our own music. Everything from beginning to end is done in this as a creative factory, right? Tyler, you want to come share with them real quick? You're being recorded right now for a class over at UAT. It's a master's level class on SEM. We explained to them what kind of equipment we have, what it does, and what we're doing with it online. Tell me what we're doing.
So we have all new 4K equipment, and what we're doing with it is we are merging a broadcast and production model. So essentially we want the quality of a production, a real like 4K cinema production, but then taking something more broadcast so we can go on location, capture the content quickly, bring it back, edit it, and run it through our system to create a really efficient workflow, essentially. This right here is a virtual
Art
director. So we've had somebody call in from Hawaii before and be on set while we're doing interviews and looking for different things throughout the production, and just giving tips.
So let's say we're on set and we can't afford to bring that art director out there for that, but they come on between 2 and 4 o'clock and they're take that over. They're sitting there looking around the set. They're saying what needs to be done, telling the operators what to do from a remote basis. So it's again our little way of driving the efficiencies through the systems is the way they exist right now. So what kind of equipment do you have there? What kind of equipment is that? What does it do?
Yeah. So this is
Why is it cool? And
this is a
why do we buy that shit?
Yeah, this is a Blackmagic Ursa camera, and something that's really cool about these is we're shooting raw 4K video. So if you're getting used to, if you're familiar with working with like a DSLR at all and taking photos, it's essentially the difference between RAW and JPEG, but in a video format. So we have a lot of control and capabilities with that.
Is it full format? Is
What's
it a
that?
full frame?
This isn't a full frame camera. It's probably close to an APS-C, maybe a little bit bigger. Super 35 should be a little bit bigger.
HG?
Yeah, 4K. But we're able to pull stills from this too, and start using this for portraits, pulling it for print content, and that's something we haven't been able to do with video.
Ever.
Yeah, ever.
And this equipment just broke that open, and it's really exciting. Last few video shoots I pulled off, client paid me for my video, and then I turned around and created hundreds of still images that we've been using for, in all of their different channels. So now all of a sudden, it's amazing what happens. The efficiency of what we can create is crazy. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. Come in here to explain to what you've got in here, what's going on here. And this is the area that we're working on expanding right now. This is Craig
Hello.
Keeling. What's Craig doing? Craig's getting ready. He's the art director on the location shoot. And tell him, what are you doing? What's he doing? What are you guys working on?
So we have a content management platform where we take the schedule for the shoot and line item every shoot. You know, so from 3:15 to 3:30, we're going to be capturing this. This is what the themes are. This is some past imagery that we've used that will help inform the shoot, and it just makes it easy so that when we're on location, we run through the schedule, get what we need.
So let's
and
go.
tag
Let's
it.
go look at one of those. Go back out and show them how it works. You know, go to the schedule. Go go to the like the shoot, the big one.
Yeah,
like
if you
the
go to the
top
brief.
level.
Oh, the brief right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing is we're going out there to shoot at the Visalia Clinic and sending a team out there, right? And so if you look in there, the stories that they got to capture is right there, right? Now, how is this relevant to SEO? Well, it starts right here. This is what's relevant, and if I'm not out there capturing what's most relevant and engaging, then when my guys edit the video and put it on a website, it won't be most relevant, engaging, and it won't rank. You get what I'm saying? So the SEO starts at the planning stage before they even pick up a camera. You see what I'm saying? Otherwise, the guys come back with all kinds of cool shit, but when you hang it on your website, it's not going to drive any traffic. It's a cool website. It's a cool thing. It's just what the guys in-house said they wanted. Right? But if it's not driven on these kind of things, so explain some of the things that are in there. What do you got in there?
We have everything from our equipment checklists to client contacts, you know, where if there's going to be catering or where we're going to eat.
And these are all the individual things that they're working on their equipment, packing it up, and so they're going through each one of these things. Is it packed? Isn't it packed? Do I have the camera batteries? Do I have, you know, so again, in order to deal the SEO, which you saw was higher on that, we got to have the batteries charged, right? What does the batteries charged on a location shoot have to do with the SEO? I just showed you.
It's all connected, yeah.
Right?
What are those devices on your desk? They look like little mini phones. Sort of.
These here?
Yes.
Oh, these are hard drives. External hard drives.
Okay, so show them a piece of work we did in here. Show them something you've completed, something you like.
Oh, I've got something we're working on right now.
So today I officially got my white coat, which signifies that I have now become a medical student. The fact is I'm now officially starting the journey of becoming a doctor.
Here we have the 1-3 model. So what that means is we spend the first year here in Arizona, and then we spend 3 years in our community health clinics.
When you're accepted to AT Still, you get a link to fill out for your preferred CHCs, and the school tries to prioritize and give you one of your top choices.
I am currently assigned to the Phoenix Community Health Center, so we work with Adelante Community Healthcare. I really liked Soma's clinical approach in the second year, where they actually immerse us in the clinic.
As a second year, it's a pretty rare opportunity. Not all medical schools have that, where you get to go do that, and so you're a little ahead of the game. By the time you get to third year and you start rotating, you've already had clinical experience. You already know how to interview a patient and how to do physical exams, so you have that experience to kind of build upon. Third year is really different. We were able to take our board testing, and at that point we get to transition into our clinical rotations. And so those are broken down into blocks, and they're usually about 4 weeks long, and each of those blocks we spend with a different doctor in a different type of setting.
So the biggest difference between the third and the fourth year is that you're done with your board exams, you've received your scores. At the beginning of your third year, you submit your application for residency, and that's a great feeling. It feels good. It's a long road to get to that point, and once you're at that point, you've submitted it. It's out of your hands. Got the letters of recommendation. You can, and you can enjoy medicine.
So this is for that new website, for that medical school, we're like explaining the model. What's it like to go there? That's relevant and engaging, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So all of it is one integrated team. Thank you. So we're doing like the Stargate thing where we're busting through this wall right now. Just getting ready for it. Persant, how art thou? Okay, you've got 3 IT guys in here. Okay? These are 3 IT guys. Right here is where back-end systems work happen. We keep all other employees out of here. Client confidential data stacks are in here. Everything else like that. We explain to them what kind of systems we've had and what process of upgrading we're doing.
Yeah, we have some physical and the virtual. We're in the process of migrating most of them into virtual. And the virtual, the way it works is like we have a storage on NetApps using iSCSI. So we published the storage using, what we have done is like we have an LSCP on the switch end, so it gives the aggregated speed of like 20 gigs. So that's how it communicates with the storage. So most of the virtualization is ESX based on the vCenter, and I also run the backup using the same thing, like BDP, the new version of BDP, which is a free backup tool along with the VMware product. So
and then
that's how it
he reads wonderful books like this.
Well, I was reading the
Or
Are you getting used to?
yeah. Yesterday I finished the DAG actually. Database.
So the learning never stops. You know, how long have you been doing this, and you still grab these big old books and still go after it, right?
No.
So it doesn't change in this business, no matter
So,
what you're.
yeah, we did the exchange of great recent 3 months back, and DAG implementation yesterday. So DAG is like I have a one exchange which is the physical, virtual, and this one is a DAG member which is a physical. So even if the virtual goes down, I at least have physical running, and there's a witness server which is still a physical. So but that keeps it running. So it's not dependent on completely on virtual environment also.
So why'd you choose VMware over like Hyper-V?
VMware, I prefer Hyper-V. I now the new version is better, but earlier version Hyper-V is not as reliable as a VMware. And plus, the previous virtualization was on the VMware, like 4, and that's what we migrated to 5.5. Now it's 6. Now it's 6. Update 1 because 6 had an issue with storage. But then 6 is like it doesn't give you the good performance in storage. So
Now I noticed that the majority of the things here were Mac. So how do you get that integration? That was always the biggest struggle I've ever had. in IT.
yeah, it is. Now on the Active Directory integration, you cannot apply the full pro policy, so we have to use a third-party software for that.
What's the software you use?
I'm using Desktop Central, and there's another one that I'm trying to apply for the policy, but yeah, so I'm just implementing a third-party policy. Yeah,
That's probably, you hit the nail on the head. That's one of our biggest areas of doing it. Is it's really our mashup environment. You know, if Apple could actually get Excel right, then we wouldn't have that problem. We'd be done. But you know, it's the power and of Word and Excel and PowerPoint. Those 3. If it wasn't for that, we'd have said bye-bye a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like we have multiple, everything from Linux to Apaches to, you know what I mean? A long time ago, we were able to come up with better solutions in the Microsoft stack. The bastion that they have is in the business suite, and it's those 3. And I swear to God, if it wasn't for those three, we'd be done. But we can't be.
You cannot even do
So
a
we're
video
not.
on Apple device.
So-
You need to have, you use a proprietary hardware in order to do the video integration.
So in
That's
here's
Apple.
a lot of the if-then stuff, the back-end side, systems, admin. In here, this is, his new stack. We're still got to finish the don't look at this cabling, because we're still going to fix this cabling. Right, Prasad?
Yep.
I'm going to stand in front of it so no one can get a picture of the cables, because I'm embarrassed as an owner. Just saying, Prasad.
I don't know. This whole IT area looks way better than most that I've seen.
Nah, half as good as it can be. Alright, so you can see what we're kind of running in there, if that makes any sense.
So,
Right?
yeah, this is the server, there's a test server I have, which is like this, new appliances.
Are all those? So did you just keep expanding those, or are those all linked together?
Yeah, I recently, I have to get specifications for this.
So what do you think of all this?
I would try and grab one.
Very cool. This is Mark Weber. He's our comptroller and CFO.
Pleasure to meet you.
You need something for the drip?
Huh?
You need something for the drip?
Yeah.
Okay.
You gonna get it for me in the morning?
You're not here tomorrow morning, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, well then.
I'm coming in to load in the van. I'll be gone by 10 o'clock with the guys, but I'll be here from 9 to 10.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
You guys use it all the time.
See you later. There you go. Thank you, Mark. All right, so one of the things that I had talked to you about is we have a couple of things we've done that we built the system off of. One of the things that I did is I studied. What's it?
I think you were talking about the storage instead of UPS. Oh, yeah, so it doesn't, I do have the expensive unit on again recently. Sorry, that's it.
I love that guy for that reason. He has to be accurate, and that's important to me. So, with that said, one of the things I did when I saw this market changing about a decade ago, and we started to drive in all these new positions to create a real integrated work team, a new breed agency for the next 25 years, if you will. One of the things I did is I wanted to look, I redesigned the work model. And what I did is I studied SEAL teams, UDT, underwater demolition teams. And one of the major philosophies that they have, and I mentioned it to you guys before, is that everybody is cross-trained for the job in front of them and the job behind them. And so when anything happens of whatever level, the next guy either slides over or slides in. And sometimes you can slide over and slide in, right? And sometimes this guy slides over to two positions. I'm a basketball coach. It's no different than playing zone defense. If all of a sudden you now need to leave your guy to go cover the next guy closest to the basket, you leave the farthest guy away from the basket open, kind of thing, right? So these living, breathing, dynamic organizations, and basketball defense is a living, breathing, dynamic organization. It's reacting to where the ball is and instantaneously to where you go, right? Well, a SEAL UDT team reacts to overcoming and coming to the mission based on whatever the environmental restraining forces are in front of them, okay? So I started to think about it and said, what if we redesign the workflow of an agency to be like that, okay? And so what we came up with is we came up with a cross-discipline teams, right? So you've seen today how I've organized those cross-discipline teams to be geographically either next to each other or linear to each other in the process, right? Okay? So within this 10,000 square foot building is 33 people that are linearly connected in the process of creating whatever that is needs to be created in the business, right? So the one thing when you deal with cross-discipline teams, if you look at it, we've got a couple of things that move together. This right here is the span of what somebody does. Now, first of all, you've got to make sure that people are cross-skilled and cross-trained in this. Okay? It doesn't work unless you cross-skill and cross-train. So the first thing that we do is our hiring methodology. One of the things that we do is we find somebody, let's just say, does AD, does CD, right? And does production art. Okay? Let's say that there's somebody that, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, and I can do this. It's all in the art room. Okay? Well, when they come to work for Fabcom, we find out what they're freaking excellent at. Okay? And we find out that it's this that particular person is excellent at. Okay? Then we have the same thing coming over here. And this guy happens to be good at CD. This guy happens to be good at strategic direction. And this guy is at administration. Okay? And this guy right here, that happens to be here, right here, happens to be good at AD. Let's say production art, and let's say he does front programming. So you know this is a web guy that's out there, right? I do art direction, I do a little production art, and I can do some front-end shitty-ass programming at the 1, 2, 3 level. Okay? Typical front-end web designer that's out there today. Okay? And then right here, I have a guy that does, he does front, he does mid, and let's say he does a little bit of back, right? Programming, right? And so when I find out that this guy does this good, right? I find out that this guy does this good, right? I find out that this guy right here does this good. So do you see how each guy's primary job, his job is to do this. This guy's job okay, so you'll notice that I got multiple, sometimes I got 5 positions, right? Of those got this kind of job. And the reason is because I need depth at each one of them. And actually, if you look at, there's 6 of these out there, back there, right? And they're all good at these 3 different levels. And one guy's great at this, 2 guys great at this, 2 guys great at that, 2 guys great at that. And the 6 guys are working off of each other, right? So this guy is doing that because that's what he's best at, right? So do you see how this works? Does this make sense of how you hire across those job positions for an integrated job? So now let's just talk about this. So now all of a sudden the job needs to go in this arc from, let's say, administration to strategic direction, right? To creative direction, to art direction, to production art, to front development, to back development, to distribution. Now I didn't have room, I ran out on the board to show it to that, but this is the arc a job goes through. Right? So do you see how we are cross-disciplined, so it makes it so the silos are buried? Now remember what I showed you in the beginning of it, where you've got those meeting reports, where everyone is flat and everybody knows everything that we got to do. And if you've got a system like this that runs across that, do you see how all of a sudden this whole fucking thing, number one thing you won't hear around here is the phrase, "It's not my job." You want to see me go fucking nuts? Let me hear that phrase. The only other worst phrase is, "I don't care." Which, "it's not my job" means I don't care. So with that said, we make it all our jobs. You know, it's the type of a company, if I'm willing to come in here and work all weekend or clean the coffee off the floor or get coffee for another employee, then by God, anyone in that position can do whatever job to. And that's the kind of organization we are, right? And does that make sense how you can design something for cross-discipline teams? Right? So does this make sense how that works? So there's 3 areas that touch, there's 16 areas that go across, and you stack up the capabilities so people can step in and move across. There's full understanding. And why is that important? Why is that important is because what this guy does directly affects what he does, and what he does directly affects the capability of that working. And so on and so forth as you move through the entire arc. Remember I said 100 things. These are covering those 100 things of where all those leaks happen. Those leaks happen at these transfer points between that's not my freaking job. So you design over it with your workforce. Does that make sense? Any questions? Okay, I didn't take you to the production side. I don't know if those guys are still there. Let me take you over to production. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Okay, here's a little production, right? This production. What are we doing here? We do a couple of different things. What happens in here is everything that goes out must have 3 to 5 bids in it. You know, we're steward of our clients' money. So you've seen today that the majority of everything that happens within this building. The only thing I don't do is I don't own the publications, you know, I don't manage.
Sorry,
There's Perry.
Did you need me?
No, yep, this is Perry Wilson. Come here.
Hello. How are you?
Perry Wilson, he's our production manager.
Good to meet you.
And so the bottom line is what he does in here is stewards. You know, we've got to get 3 to 5 bids on something. We've got to estimate based on our database of literally over 100,000 projects of light. So we put in the parameters and we find out what the average is. And with a lot of our clients, our average client's been with us over a decade. We have a deep history of doing work with them. So then we put in the exact client and we put in the exact parameters and we find the average of the last 100 times we've done something like that, and that's what we provide as an estimate or a budget. And it's amazing how close you come to that. Now, there's times when you build something twice as big as the average, and sometimes they build things half as big as the average. But believe me, the average works pretty damn good. And then we have a client relationship where we only bill people what they actually do, and so it all works out in the wash pretty damn good for the clients, to be honest with you, long term. Media, you know, is what Warren does, and if you look over here, there's all the media. And that's the media for one client that we're planning through, and what he's doing right now is doing an audit, and what happens is he makes sure that each thing is placed where it should place with the right creative. He works with the analytics guy to make sure the forward analytics are in it. So when the media is placed, you're embedding the particular analytics, you're putting it into the reporting dashboards, you're working with the creative, you're working with the publication, and you're working with the client. And you're pulling all of those things together to make sure the right shit gets to the right place at the right time with the right message. And that's Warren. Say hi, Warren.
Hello.
You know,
Welcome.
And so that's what we do in here. Is we do production control. At the end of it, it comes out of this office, and it's all to make sure that every dime that goes through my agency, my clients getting the most amount of money they can for it, the most amount of effort. Meaning, we're not you can find cheaper ways to do it. We're not the cheapest firm, but you can't find anybody that's going to give you the most for that amount of money. Meaning we work on stuff where the cheapest isn't what somebody's looking for. They're looking for the most effective, which might mean very efficient, which might mean not the highest quality Mercedes-Benz you can make. You know, that means that a lot. You know, and that's okay too. It's whatever's required. But our stuff is based on everything that we do. Lives, it matters. Lives matter. Careers matter. You know, people get fired if we don't get the right amount of whatever sales. You know, kids don't go to college or they go to community college because our campaigns work or they don't work. It matters. So, and then we take it very seriously. You know, we think of ourselves as stewards of the client's work. Does that make sense? And that's what happens in here. That's what I'm talking about. This is all stewarding. That's all this is. It's all just paperwork, the damn publications. One of the things we caught, we've started in our business analytics division, we've started embedding kernels that's doing such a good job of reporting that when the publications are charging my client and saying, hey, you got 1 million impressions and we're charging this amount of money, we're calling bullshit on it. Meaning, you guys caught one, don't use any names of clients or publications here.
Okay.
But you guys caught one that was fairly substantial.
Yes.
Right? Like you got a client, how many impressions? What did you find?
We found that there were approximately 350 fraudulent impressions and
350,000,
excuse me, in just 1 month of billable.
With one major publication that everybody thinks they trust. So again, if a client doesn't have the ability to put that in, oh my God, I see these in-house people just, it's amazing what they do. They want to do it cheaper. So they'll email everything from in-house and then not have their links, backlinks working or their do not replies. And all of a sudden they'll be tricked off on everybody's spam filter. Because when you send out an email, if you have bad links in there, it detects it and holds it at the corporate spam filter. When the corporate spam filters start holding it and people mark that as junk or spam, then all of a sudden it reports to a syndicating and all of a sudden anything coming out of xyz.com is marked as spam and so you might have been something somebody let go and had a problem 9 months ago and you've been marked spam and it'll bury you guys for the next 5 years. And it's those kind of things that happen that are directly interconnected in this, right? Clients will go and place a media ad and wonder why their media ad didn't work. Many times there's fraud. And if you can't see that, how are you going to catch them? And every time we call them son of a bitches, we said, hey, in that ad we had a tracking pixel and we've only shown this many impressions. Every single time we do that, they're like, oh my God, we're so sorry. Here, give your client this da-da-da-da-da and this kind of a credit. You know what? I'm sick of that. This is so much of this, I'm done with that. You know what I mean? These guys are, how long before I got my hands on that tech have they been ripping off our clients? Tell you what, I'm finding it for our clients, and that's what a good agency does. You're an agent. All right? Make sense? This is the area where we're stewards. Right? Okay, that's my story. No. Why don't you explain real quick, what are you doing here? Explain what you do in here. Tell them. You're getting recorded. Tell them. What does a CFO controller of a mid-sized advertising agency in the 5th largest city in the United States actually
We got four guys here? Yep. What we do in here is we employ a cost accounting system because you probably learned from Mr. Fabiano that everything comes in that front door and eventually gets expelled out the back door as a finished product. We get to track all of that in the accounting system through a cost accounting system, and it allows us to determine if we've got any kind of return on investment for every project. Right now in our system, we've, over the last 15 years, have got about 25,000 representative projects that we've done. And every one of those is cost accounted down to the penny. So we know exactly what profitability we can make depending on the type of project it is.
Now, and when we say profitability, it's really not, we work off of time and material, right? So if you budget 10 hours and it takes 8 hours, and your deal with the client is only bill them 8 hours, then the profitability is unregulated, meaning, it's completely regulated, it's in. If a client does 10 hours, we estimate 10 hours, and they do 12 hours, and we bill for 10 hours, now you're bankrupt if you keep doing that. So that's what he means, is that it's an accounting system that tells us, is there 8 hours or are there 12 hours in this, and why? So then you can go to the client and invoice them for the work you did. Like, meaning, we don't create anything for us. Like, for instance, we're working for a particular client. We're creating ads for them. We're creating words for them. We're creating SEO. None of that stuff do I go and make my business run with. I'm doing it for them. I'm an agent, right? So it's very, very important to know exactly the time. Oh, shoot, I gotta go. One moment. Hello, this is Brian Fabiano. How you doing, sir?
Well, thank you very much.
You bet.
Someone else had moved by the IT area.
Did he walk you guys through how we estimate jobs? Everything that we do has an estimate for it?
Not yet, no.
Okay, that's what goes on in here. Anytime a client brings us a project, what we'll do is we'll estimate it. Again, I've got 25,000 past projects that I can take and I can use them as an example of what we can do to estimate that job. Everybody that posts time to the job, because everybody here has to post their time and they have to give me a note. So I know all the successes and all the failures in past projects. So we're able to take a look at those different projects and determine whether or not we want to bill the client X amount of dollars. Then what we do is we have actual time that comes in against that estimate, and we can determine whether or not we've overestimated or underestimated for each project. So it's kind of cool.
It's kind of project management, right?
Absolutely, that's what the project managers do. Now what I do from an accounting perspective in here is I track everything. Okay, I'm responsible for everything from the time it comes in that front door until it comes out the back.
Analytics, you say?
Analytics, yeah.
Yeah. How since you've got a base of 25,000 jobs to work with, how accurate are you usually able to get?
We are really close. We're usually within probably 10% or less.
Excellent.
Which what we do now, if we're every project has scope creep. You've heard of scope creep, in your management processes. Okay, it happens. Okay, and a lot of it is client driven. The client will say, well, while we're doing this, why don't we add this on? And what we'll do is we'll give them what's called a change order. Okay, so we give them an original estimate for everything that we're going to do, but if we can see that there's a little bit of scope creep and it's at over a 10% margin, then we'll give them a change order. That way, there's always open communications. Something that's always very important to me is accountability and transparency. As long as you've got those two things, you don't harm the relationship with the client. You always want to make sure that you make the client happy.
So if you ever do underestimate and your work is longer, do you build them at the estimate still, or do you build them at your actual hours?
No, we bill at actual hours if we come in under estimate. Absolutely.
Not under. I'm sorry. So let's say you quoted out 10 hours, it took you 12. Do you bill the client for 12 or 10?
I'll bill them for 12 because that would be, well, that's right at 10%. So an example would be if they have an estimate for 10, but it takes us 14. Now all of a sudden I've exceeded that 10% margin. I'll give them a change order for that 4 hours. That way they know, that there's either scope creep or there was something that the client asked for above and beyond. Or maybe it took us longer, But again, we've got so much history that we're pretty close. We're usually pretty close with our estimates.
Okay. That's very cool.
It's not an exact science, but it certainly gives us an opportunity to be very, very close within our estimates. I was telling them about change orders. You know, if we do have a little bit of scope creep and it's over 10% of the original estimate, then we discuss it with the client. We're always open and transparent with our clients and let them know the change order. That way you don't harm the relationship with the client.
Yeah.
You
do your best.
have to respect it.
But whenever someone, says, hey, how much is this? And you go $10 based on that, and then all of a sudden you start building it, and it becomes bigger and bigger, and you come back to them and say, hey, we're gonna need another $3 for this, people aren't happy. It's not happy. And trust me, they're very upset, but by the same token, there's many projects that you say, hey, it's gonna take $4,500, and we say we bill them at 27 and we're all done. Nobody ever throws a big party then. You know what I mean? It's a very touchy thing.
Well, my wife has dinner on the table, so.
All right.
Enjoy
All right,
it.
get
Thank
on
you,
and enjoy
guys.
it. Thank you very much.
Good luck with your endeavors.
Yeah.
You're all working on a master's program right now?
Yes.
Yep.
That's wonderful. I waited until I was in my late 40s before I finished my master's degree. And it's great to do it while you're still young.
Yeah. All right. So, Brian, are we done recording or?
Yeah, I think
wrapping up?
we're
All right.
done.